Now that I've had some time with the CYBER Gadget Retro Freak console, I figured I would share what I think so far. I'm not going to flat out compare it to the Retron 5. I'm sure a lot of people want to hear how it compares, but I just want to talk about what this is capable of and judge it on its own merits. I should start off by talking about the size of the thing. You can't really tell by me holding it on camera, but to get you an idea, it's smaller in footprint than a Dreamcast. Of course, larger in footprint than a GameCube. It's smack down in the middle. It's a little bit shorter than the Dreamcast console as well. So, as a space saver, awesome. And that's not even talking about when you pull out the brains. That sounds like some kind of like Mortal Kombat move, pulling out the brain. But anyway, now let's just get into this console. Games look really good on this console. Everything is upscaled to 720p, and with the console using an HDMI output, it really lends itself well for capture using an Elgato or similar device. The user interface of the console is also quite nice, telling you right on screen how much storage is available on the internal and micro SD card. Everything is easily accessible from the main screen, and out of the games which I've tested on the console, most of them function in a fairly predictable manner, but I will talk about that later in the video. Something I think should be noted, I'm not sure if it's just my console, but it seems to me that the Mega Drive cartridge port is a really tight fit. I'm not talking about where the pins connect, but the actual port itself, meaning you have to be very careful when inserting and removing the cartridges. I find it kind of amusing that this console is intended for the Japanese market, yet the few Mega Drive cartridges that I have, I found more difficult to insert into the console than Genesis cartridges. I know I've mentioned this in the unboxing video, and I know others have talked about this, that the controller that's packaged with the console does feel kind of cheap, and I will agree with that to a point, but it does function very well with all the games that I have tested with it. I haven't attempted to use any other USB gamepads or controllers yet. However, I'm sure that I will, because I really don't care much for using a controller with a Super Nintendo style layout on a Genesis game, but that's another story. As I said before, and you can see here, all the games look quite good. You have options for adding filters, scan lines, and overscan, as well as adjustments for the audio section, all of which are nice, but I never bother playing with any of those. All the default settings are absolutely fine with me. And now I'd like to talk about the most important feature of a console like this, and that is compatibility. Much of my initial testing was on the original firmware the console was packaged with. I have upgraded since then. Pretty much everything I plugged into the console worked just fine. Genesis games, Famicom games, TurboGrafx games, you name it. Games would load in seconds and even install to the SD card in no time at all. As expected, my translated repro cart of Bare Knuckle 3 did not work with the system, but a couple of bootleg GBA games and my reproduction of M.U.S.H.A did. Locking on a game to Sonic & Knuckles did not work, but my copy of Devil World, which oddly enough never seemed to work on any Famiclone type console that I've ever tried it with, works just fine here. From here I decided to be a little bit more creative with what I threw at the system. Back when I purchased my Retron 5, I also bought a Power Base Mini from Stone Age Gamer, and that pairing worked well, so I wondered if it would work as well with the Retro Freak, which it did. It should be noted that on top of Master System and Mark III games, CYBER Gadget offers a separately purchased adapter which can also make the system play Game Gear and SG-1000 carts. Basically, if the console can read the ROM, it can play it, and it's not all that picky where it gets its ROMs from. You don't have to put it in a cartridge. It can read it on the SD card, so you can load them from your computer. And that makes a huge variety of options, so all the different systems, it's about 15 different systems if you count the international variations, and that's really impressive. In closing, I think this console does pretty much everything it claims to do. I imagine it would be very, very difficult to get 100% compatibility from one of these things, so just it doing as much as it does is very, very impressive. It's a little bit under $200 to import one of these to the US. Amazon, I think, said $195. With shipping from PlayAsia, I think it came to about $191. So, if you have the coin to do it and think this is a great idea, go for it. I'm kind of glad I did. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.